Welcome to another edition of The Naked Truth. I'm your host, Ramon Roan, along with host
John Singletary.
And today's topic is entitled Concerned Citizens of North Charleston. And what will be our subtopic is why you should get involved. John?
Well, there are many reasons why you should get involved. In North Charleston, we have roughly 100,000 people. 100,000 people, a budget of $100 million.
105 million.
Yeah, about 105.
5 million.
And
Let's don't miscount that 5. We got to add that 5 million.
Okay. Well, I'll just go in general.
Yeah, got it.
But we've got roughly $66 million that we have in budget in terms of wages. Out of that $66 million, we comprise 50% of the population, and we get about $10 million. They get about $56 million. Mm-hmm. Now, if you take 20 years that Mayor Summy has been there, now it hasn't been $100 million and 100,000 people
right.
every year, but on average, if you said that was, and you look at 20 years, that's over $1 billion he's put into the 40% of whites in the communities, and then he's only put about $225 million into 50% of the communities, which is black. Nowhere else do we have a situation where, like Westcott, they put $1.5 million every year into Westcott. There is no recreation in the black community, us being 50% of the population, that they spend $1.5 million.
Right.
Now, we need to get involved because there's 5 basic things that we should demand from any candidate: white, black, new, old. Fairness. Most of the time people vote because they either like one candidate or hate the other. Well, we're saying that in this election you ought to vote for someone because it is fair to you. You need to be fair to yourselves in that for all citizens you need to take a look at the things that benefit you. One, you shouldn't have to spend money to give someone your vote. Oftentimes they ask, well, you need to give us money for the campaign. Why would you give someone money to give you their vote? That doesn't make logical sense.
Number 2, parity. We need parity in jobs, contract, and resources in our community. If you make up 50% of the population, and you have the government that has less than 50% blacks, well, we want parity. So we want parity as well as parity in city contracts. Most of the city contracts are going to white-owned businesses. Very small percentage.
Smidgen. You heard the president.
A smidgen. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up.
I even threw you off guard, but all right.
A smidgen goes to minority-owned businesses. So, and as well as for the resources that are going out to, we don't get 50% of the resources in from the city government of North Charleston. So what we want, we're not asking for 100%, just parity.
Fair share.
Fair share. That's all. President Obama talked about fair share. Well, we want our fair share of the city resources. We want our fair share of the jobs, and we want our fair share of government contracts. John?
And we want them to get their fair share.
Absolutely.
Only their fair share.
Only their fair share.
And we want to get only our
right
fair
now
share.
It's not.
Right.
It's not. There is no parity in the city of North Charleston.
Right. We've got roughly 50% of the population is African American, about 12% is Hispanic, and
right.
The rest are primarily Caucasian, and that's how it should be divided.
Yeah.
Education improvement. We all know that education right here in North Charleston is an issue, particularly if you've got a child that's going to middle school, going to high school, you're starting to look around as where they can go. We have very few options. If you go into high school and you're not African American, then the academic magnet is a viable choice for you. But if you don't fall into that category, then we're in trouble. Mm-hmm. Fairness when it comes to jobs, contracts, and resources is going to impact our education system. We need to have in North Charleston a concerned council for school improvement that deals with the public schools as well as deals with charter schools. Some place where if there's a charter school that needs to be instituted, the individuals who are applying for that charter can go and get some resources to assist them in developing that charter. With the public schools, you shouldn't have to leave your neighborhood and be bused someplace else to get a decent education when there is in your neighborhood a school that you must bypass.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have the same type of opportunities that every school student that walks into the academic magnet school feel that they get when they go to school there, that they get a quality education, that they should not have to leave their community. At the academic magnet, you see they're building around it such that they'll be able to walk to school in order to be able to get a decent education.
Right.
That needs to be the situation with every single school, that we should put whatever is necessary into the school to uplift it so that there's a quality education that can be received from the students in the community.
But we also ought to be able to have, until then, we need to have school choice. Be able to have school choice, and that's where the charter schools come in. And we need to have a program set up to assist these charter schools. Charter schools are, some people have, they have mixed emotion about charter schools, but charter schools give those low-income families an opportunity of choosing what school their child's going to go to.
Charter schools are excellent if we are able to take advantage of the concept from the top to the bottom.
Right.
If we're not able to take advantage, then charter schools become basically a semi-private school.
That's pretty
that
much
eventually will turn into a private school, and then we're locked out. It's a quasi-private.
Right.
And so that's why we need to be able to take advantage of the entire concept of charter before it is something that is good for us. And that's what we're saying that needs to happen.
The next one is fair property taxes. We see that how the city of Charleston, how they use property taxes to push low-income families out of the city of Charleston by increasing their taxes to where they couldn't afford it anymore, and they found it best for them to sell their homes and to move to North Charleston.
Kind of like exclusionary zoning.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
we
that's
talked about it
exactly.
earlier. We talked about the fact that when you look at, if you get your fair share of the jobs, of the contracts, of the resources, that dumps into your community resources that could be going to education as well as to property tax, and it allows you to somewhat safeguard your communities.
Right.
When you have a community where you earn less than enough to continually upkeep your property, the value goes down. To continue to pay your taxes, then the segment of the population, in this case, we're looking at the $56 billion versus the $10 billion, can come into your neighborhood, purchase a house, improve it, because not only do they have the income, but they can get a loan from the bank. They begin to increase your property tax because their value goes up. Now it's a hostile takeover of your entire community. Look at what's going on in the Liberty Hill in North Charleston.
And Liberty Hills, for those who are nationally, Liberty Hills is predominantly black.
Used to be all black.
All black, right, all black. But
They've taken the school, it's now the academic magnet.
Right.
Used to be Old Bonds Wilson.
Right.
They have, right down from Felix Pinckney Community Center, built another community that has pool and everything. It's almost like on one side of the street, literally, you can go to the black pool.
Right.
On the other side of the street, near Danny Jones, you can go to the white pool.
Right.
And so those are the kinds of issues that we need to address in North Charleston. The property tax, it should be common sense to say that if the economic downturn with housing caused our property values to go down, then so should our taxes. Our taxes should go down. At least we should be given a rebate until the property value comes back up.
Right.
That's only fair.
That's only fair.
You don't carry our values down and our property taxes up.
No.
That's unfair. Again, it's back to being fair to yourself.
Okay.
Don't vote based on the candidate.
Yeah.
Take a look at the fact that in the last 20 years, what has been promised has not happened. There's been no benefit. I venture to say that there have been few, if any, out of billions of dollars spent, black millionaires made in North Charleston.
Right. Well, Brother John, I think that if you're watching this video and you live in North Charleston and you have the capacity, ability to vote for mayor, you have to say to yourself, 20 years, am I better off, am I better off now than I was 20 years ago? If you're a minority sitting under the administration of Mayor Keith Boss Hog Summey, no pun intended, are you better off? The truth is we're not better off. And what
Less
about
than 20% of jobs, less than 10% of the
Exactly.
contracts. Few resources spent, and the only resources are spent right before election, things that they have to do anyway in order to garnish a vote.
they'll put sidewalks and they'll do a park.
Yeah, and they come to get the vote from our churches,
Yes.
but yet they forget how to get to the church when it's time to give out.